the cleaning fluids, your shampoos, and your cleaning things that you put on yourself every day, your soaps. And when you see sodium lauryl sulfate on the ingredients list, you know it's a known carcinogen. You know it's a known carcinogen. It's not like, oh, this is a mystery. It's known, right? And when you combine it with nitrates, sodium nitrates, which is preserving...
Check it out. So we need to know this shit.
In preserving meats, like your pizzas with your salami and your ham and things like that. So if you're having your hams and salami with your sodium lauryl sulfate on your shampoo, you're 100% guaranteed to get cancer. This is not like an option. You're going to get it.
Sodium laurate, what now?
Lauryl sulfate.
Is that what they call it, Laurie?
Oh, there's a shitload of ingredients here. I can't read it.
Okay. It's definitely there. All right, so we'll come back to that. Yeah. Okay. The other things I was going to talk about.
Yeah, ammonium lauryl sulfate.
You know what? Doesn't sound good. You can look it up in if you go to your health food store, they'll give a little booklet. We'll talk about the chemical supplements that are in your food. It's no wonder that cancer's gone up to 1 in 2. It's because of that, right? 1 in 2. You're going to get cancer. You're going to get cancer. I can tell you now, right? I can tell you now, you're being poisoned, you're going to get cancer. You should start now. And a great way to start, and I can tell you it's a fantastic way to start, is get a juicer and you have for breakfast some apple, some carrots, some celery, maybe some broccoli, or some
organic,
and some beetroot. Obviously organic. And you have that for breakfast, and you know what? You'll never have a better tasting breakfast. You'll feel so awesome after your breakfast, and you'll know that you're giving your body the nutrients that it requires.
So hold on, don't get me started on fresh Coles and Woolies fresh food.
No,
it's not fresh food. It's criminal food. They need to be arrested.
Shit.
Okay, so here we go. What else? Your soap, your dyes. Like when you get a T-shirt, or you get some new clothes. Then those dyes, and even when you pick the printer ink and the receipt ink, all these inks and dyes are carcinogenic. You shouldn't have it in your body. And unless you're really supporting your immune system through vitamins and minerals and making sure you've got a healthy diet, you're really going to be susceptible to cancer. And you don't
the dye in your clothes.
You don't. Well, that's just part of it. Or is it the sodium nitrate in the meat, or is it the sodium lauryl sulfate in the?
But dyeing your clothes is an issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you got to wash. You got to make sure
your body does not want chemicals added.
Yes.
It's extremely strong. It is extremely adaptable. It's amazing, but we don't give it the fuel anymore because the food is ridiculous. We don't give it the nutrition that it requires to fight.
Exactly.
And then we load on all these chemicals and wash ourselves every day in cancer-causing chemicals, and don't give ourselves the vitamins every day to fight it.
Yeah.
So I say to you, don't do that. Limit your chemicals, improve your vitamin and nutrition intake.
Sure.
And you're going to have a healthier life. This isn't rocket science.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what else have I got here? You know, plastics, BPA. I'm not sure how many people know. A lot of people know about bisphenol A. Bisphenol A has been taken out of the hard plastics. You'll see it advertised in the supermarkets, BPA free, bisphenol A free. Bisphenol A is what do they call it? It's a xenoestrogen mimicker. So basically, estrogen is a female hormone, which obviously females need to operate.
Yep.
Men have a very low amount. Females have a large amount, and it's the same.
Well, some men have a high amount.
Well, and there we go. Yep. And they end up they end up disfigured sexually, and that's where you get your you're going to get your transsexual.
Exactly.
Homosexuals, I know it's a horrible thing and everyone's going to go up in arms, but I'd say go and check out the Tavistock Institute. Gay men, go and check out the Tavistock Institute and what they've done to you since the 50s. They have done it to you. And
Tavistock Institute.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll come to that.
We have a few gay friends, so we need to...
that's interesting.
Go and check it out. Go and check it out. It sounds horrible. It is... bisphenol A is, putting estrogen into men is not good. putting extra estrogen into women is not good, and it causes health defects. And so that's why you'll see BPA free and things like none of that. We're very, very complicated, highly tuned, amazing beyond belief machines that can do all these amazing. And when our chemical factory goes out of balance, we get in trouble.
Well, that's all life is, really, essentially, isn't it? Our brain is just one big chemical reaction. Our life is one just big chemical reaction. That's how we perceive reality, and that's how we walk around and live life.
I try not to be so simplistic because I'm definitely very spiritual, but we are an amazing biochemical computer that can produce chemicals on demand based on requirements. And you think about it, it's like fight or flight, your brain fires, adrenaline, endorphins, boom, fires up the muscles, changes the body. I mean, we are an incredible machine.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
It's just mind-boggling. Okay, so that was some of the ways that, physically, we're under attack. And I wanted to cover off things like mental. Because physical is one thing, that's your body, that's your physical, but your mental is just as equally powerful. And you're under full spectrum dominance, so you're being dominated full spectrumly, continually.
So this is coming from a faceless man, higher power.
No, we'll talk.
Are you talking?
That's the issue I've always had with this whole thing. I know you haven't finished yet on all your fronts of attack, but is intention behind the attack and who's doing it and why and whether or not it's just a product of the actual system itself, an out of control self-perpetuating system.
Is it cheaper to do it that way? Is it the economic system?
Is it the economic system, economic motivations? Is it actually people having strategies?
Okay, so essentially you're a slave.
Yes, definitely. I believe that. I fully believe that.
Okay, this is really simple. You're a slave.
Yes.
Kings and queens never died.
Yes.
Their ideas of world dictatorship and grandeur never died.
Absolutely.
They retain their power and they're exercising their power today. So you're a slave, you're cattle in the run.
Yeah.
Now, times have changed because before you were required, you're now not required.
Because of population density?
We've got robots.
Really?
We've got software.
Yes.
Have the technology. Do not need 7 billion people on the planet anymore.
When you say required, you're talking about the requirements for the elite to have a luxurious life?
Correct.
Okay.
So their objective was to rule the planet, and you're a slave. And that's always how they viewed it. Mm-hmm. And the same as today, except they don't need.
I can't argue with that.
They don't need the manpower. They need a fraction of the manpower.
Yes.
So they're trying to get rid of
1 or 2% of the. Yeah, absolutely. Because you're useless now. Or at least just
shutting us up and putting us in a cube.
No, they're going to kill you. They don't need you, right? They're not going to pay for you. They're not going to pay to power you or feed you. Yeah. It's unnecessary, right? So this is about efficiency in a machine. And you're surplus to requirements now, hence you're dead.
I don't like... no, look, this is probably where I get a bit flawed in this scenario because I absolutely 100% believe in everything that you just said and I think it myself, but I try to refuse myself not to... think about it like that because once I go down that road, then
get over it. You have to face. You have to face the abyss. Yeah. I've sat on my back porch and said, if I was purely evil, if I was the most evil person and I had nothing and I hated it all, what would I do? You know what? It'd be wipe out humanity pretty quick, smart, using resources, space.
So why do they need to do it at this, sort of reasonably slow level? You know what I mean? Like, why not just?
Yeah. So what we're in is, I guess, what they need to build was a prison. It's a high-tech prison, and they've got some very far-reaching objectives of their prison, and that's the microchip agenda. Making you feel that you're in an artificial reality, being able to control your thoughts from a supercomputer from afar, having a martial law scenario in place, having a very, very, very controlled society, and as their plaything to work with, and everything else outside that needs to be exterminated.
Yes.
So that's just purely where it comes from. We're just excess cattle on the field.
Well, they've surely let it get out of control. Population growth has been massive and out of control, and so they're obviously not doing a very good fucking job.
Well, look, I'm going to pick you up on a couple of points there.
Yeah.
Okay, so overpopulation is a myth.
Well, we're not over. There's no fucking way we're overpopulated. The system won't allow us.
The population will fit. You know, every person on the world can have an acre in Texas.
No. I wrote a document.
And then don't have to be anywhere in the world, right? We're talking.
We agree.
I wrote a document. I write blogs for Zeitgeist, and I wrote a blog, and I did the math. I related that analogy from Texas to Queensland. And in Texas, they had a smaller amount because Queensland's bigger. So you get apparently like 1,200 square feet, which fits a normal size home, and a big backyard for every single person in the world could have a normal size home and a big backyard in Queensland. 7.1 billion people.
Exactly.
So we're not overpopulated.
There's a fraud. There's a fraud right there, right?
Okay.
And look, let's face it, humans are amazing. We're very, very smart cookies. We're ingenious beyond words.
Yes.
You know, we're creators. We can do whatever we want. And so there's the fallacy, right? That, you know, everyone can fit into Queensland with a nice property, or we can fit into Texas with a bit more, you know, we're going to be more. But, you know, it's the world we're talking about. They cram you into all these cities, create all these environmental problems, and then blame it on you. And it was interesting, if you have a look at the Club of Rome and their essay that they wrote, which is called the First Global Revolution, which is where they claim to, it's where they actually admit to inventing global warming as a concept. Yeah, they admit it in the First Global Revolution.
Really?
Yeah, they say something along the lines, we're going to use environmental threats, environmental degradation as a way of pushing it back on humanity, that the enemy is in itself humanity. And I'll paraphrase it pretty badly, but you can go and look. I think it's on page 73. You can look at it on page inscribed. You just put it on Google. Club of Rome, the First Global Revolution. Have a look at that. The enemy itself is humanity.
What year was that?
I actually think, I'm actually not sure whether it's the 90s or the 70s. Could have been the early 90s.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've got a group of people who are conspiring to use environmental crisis to make...
So you don't believe in global warming?
It's an obvious fraud. It's an obvious fraud.
Shit.
Really?
Well, look,
from top to bottom, this is ridiculous. The amount of evidence there is to show that this is a complete and utter fraud is beyond a joke. We're not being serious here.
Where are you finding this evidence?
I need evidence. Yeah,
you need to show us. We've tried hard to look from that point of view.
See how I see it in layman's terms. We're in a reasonably enclosed environment.
Everyone agrees with that.
Yeah. And if you fill it with CO2 for a certain amount of time, I don't know what that span of time is, and eventually the oxygen will deplete. You deforest the world, the oxygen will deplete, and then eventually the temperature will go up.
Oh, that sounds pretty horrific.
Is it?
Timothy Ball.
But when
Timothy Ball,
melt,
if they're going to melt.
Yeah.
So Timothy Ball, renowned climate scientist, he lost his job when he spoke out first against global warming, and then he realised it was a concerted fraud and crime against humanity. He recovered from his sacking from the university and came out with repeated studies. And I think this is the simplest way of describing this, really. Okay,
please.
So humans are responsible...
You're going to just debunk my whole 4 years of uni.
Okay, so this is really simple. Really, really, really simple, right? Humans are responsible for 3% of carbon dioxide emissions. The Earth is responsible for 97% of carbon dioxide emissions. That's a fact. From volcanoes to bushfires to methane to rotting whatever vegetation on the ground. Humans are responsible for 3% of the emissions, and the natural variation in the Earth's emission